Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another match here at the Overwatch Scrim game series. I am, of course, White Shadow, your host for today. And in today's match, we've got two teams that are both seeking something to get them on their feet. We have, of course, Ragnarok versus Mirai Saints. For Ragnarok, they are, as you can see from the record, 1-2. They need another win to get them back to the 0 differential and get them a solid ground to stand on moving into the next week of the series. And for Mirai Saints, they are still looking for their very first victory, a story that we have been following for quite some time now, and that is, of course, the slight tragedy of Mirai Saints still not being able to find a win. We are, of course, in week 4 of the Overwatch Scrim game series, and both of these teams are looking at the middle to the bottom of the leaderboard compared to all the other teams which have substantial wins on their records. Both of these teams, of course, as I said, are looking for that win that will bring them closer to the top of the leaderboard. But as we all know, in these sort of situations, only one winner can be decided, and that's what is at stake. Like I said, we are on week 4 of the tournament, approaching the final weeks of the first half. And although it is the first half, you still want to have that advantage that some teams at the top of the leaderboard have, where they have enough wins in order to justify them taking a little bit of losses later down the road. It's all about how you start and how you finish. But for some of these teams, they still have yet to find a start. Now, we've seen a lot of changes in the meta, things that have obviously changed and have shifted around. Obviously, characters like Sojourn, Kiriko, and the Reinhardt are going to be picks of the entirety of all the teams, actually. And as we can see here, the lineup for Ragnarok, we'll have Wolverine, Mr. J, Choyobin, Dolphin, and Kuro, running with the Tracer, Symmetra, Zarya, Lucio, Baptiste, which is actually the Lucio Baptiste. This is a composition for supports that we've actually seen quite recently. A lot of teams are utilizing Baptiste more frequently than the Moira or Kiriko because of that immortality field and the way that Baptiste has that survivability factor. Now, the Zarya is going to be interesting to see depending on the map, combined with another beam character in Symmetra. Probably going to be some point where the objectives are very enclosed in order to justify this decision. Now, of course, we all know Mr. J's Tracer is a menace. We've all seen what Mr. J can do on Tracer, and any character for that matter. As we look at Mirai Saints' roster, we have Alu, Zoro, Ghost, 75, Usako, and Basil running their usual strats with the Reinhardt, fan favorite for Ghost, 75, Alu and Zoro on the Sojourn and Symmetra respectively, and again another Baptiste Lucio for support line. The Symmetra picks on both teams are very indicative of maybe a Lijiang Tower first map. The only difference in these compositions is the tanks and the DPS outside of Symmetra. So we have a Sojourn on Mirai Saints versus a Tracer, which is going to be interesting to see, and the Rein v Zarya. Now that we are at 5v5, Reinhardt and Zarya are now more or so enemies to each other than ever before. And that actually has me intrigued as to what the map actually ends up being, because the Brawl type is actually what this is all trying to decide. And as we actually look at the map set, yep, it was in fact Lijiang Tower. Now, depending on which actual capture point we're going to first, it justifies a little bit of the Tracer versus the Sojourn pick, although most teams have often gone with the Sojourn, but just because Sojourn is always a viable pick regardless of where you're at. So it'd be interesting to see where, of course, we are going specifically as we load in Lijiang Tower. Still a very beautiful scenery even at sunset. We see that Mirai Saints is actually not won yet on this map either, so they are searching for a map win here on Lijiang Tower. And things are going to be very, very interesting, especially depending on which capture point, as I said. This Brawl type with the divey DPS. As we're in spawn room right now with Ragnarok. Can't really tell our capture point right now from the ship, but I think we'll figure out soon enough. There is a city skyline. It looks like it's going to be night market. They roll out with Mr. J on the tracer. Already looking for that flank. As both teams, meanwhile, teleporting straight to point. Wolverine there getting pretty low. Has to fall back. Elu there getting caught. Dolphin goes down and Wolverine. Kuro now on the side of Ragnarok. Some Mirai Saints now having a 3-man advantage. As Ragnarok are going to fall from that point. Just as the control point unlocks, Mirai Saints are going to get a pretty easy capture point right there. As Ragnarok are now resetting. Mr. J still looking for that flank onto the Sojourn. Or an unsuspecting Elu. As now maybe a TP strike here from Wolverine. He set up turrets on the ground. There we go. They're teleporting straight onto the point. Very aggressive. Wolverine does get caught out though. Elu does get traded. In the meantime, Shogun is still looking for something. He does have some substantial charge. Not much of anything. There's Oro getting very low there. Barely escapes. As Kuro goes down. The mortality field was used. And Elu is just in there getting people off guard. Right now though is missing some shots against the tracer. It does fall to Mr. J. Zoro actually very low there. This could be an overextension as Usanko actually ends up dying to Mr. J. So now Ragnarok has something to work with. Basso trying to run away from Trioben. He is at 96 charge, very, very high charge. But pulse bomb onto Ghost ends up killing Basso anyway, but Zoro ends up responding. This is a very scrappy fight. But Ragnarok inevitably are going to win that. They're finally going to flip over. 71% for Mirai Saints. As now they are going to have to reset. Very slightly, of course, but still recent. Trioben does have this grab though. He's thinking the same thing I am, and he does use it. Members of Mirai Saints did take some damage but did not end up falling. Mortality Field was used as well as a sound barrier here from Ragnarok trying to push on the offensive. Ghost gets bursted down. Hanzo from Wolverine gets the headshot. Usako does end up falling as well. So it seems like Mirai Saints are going to have to go back to the drawing board. As now Ragnarok are on 30% and looking at getting 3 ults. Dragons, Pulse Bomb, and the Amplification Matrix Mirai Saints pushing in with a Overclock, Amplification Matrix, and Sound Barrier. So 3 ults about for both teams. Low supported stuff from Mirai Saints making a difference. Dragons do go out in the background as you saw there. Amplification Matrix used by Ragnarok. Sound Barrier though in response from Mirai Saints. And Ghost 25 just has freedom to swing. All the swings there, and Overclock was used by Elu though. Very surprising to me. Seemed like a pretty late addition to the ult lineup, but he did end up getting 2 eliminations. And they get the point back. 84% now, as we are approaching do or die percentages here for Ragnarok. They still have that pulse on. Wolverine does end up swapping again to the Sombra. So only 1 ult for them. Amplification Matrix used there by Usanko. Shielding gets very low, but Mortality Field are used way too early in my opinion. Mr. J has the pulse bomb. He's on the tracer. Mortality Field was used. He does stick somebody, ends up killing Usanko, but 2 of his teammates are already down. And make that 3 with Wolverine. Overtime is triggered. It's just Mr. J right now as Dolphin falls. And he's gonna get eliminated. So Mirai Saints looking very, very strong there. 100 to 55. And they will capture Night Market. We saw lots of things there. Ghost obviously was just swinging around the point with his constant stream of healing, eluding people with the Sojourn, and Zoro beaming people down. On the side of Ragnarok, it just seemed like they didn't know where to focus their attention to. We saw Wolverine swap 3 different times there, not allowing him to build up anything. And Mr. J just in general wasn't allowed to do much of his usual menacing work that he does on the tracer. And that's actually now we see a swap as Mr. J is on the Sojourn now, Choyobin on the Winston, the Wolverine's on the Reaper. On the side of Mirai Saints, Olu is on the Reaper, but their composition mostly stays the same. They did teleport to the point, but not Ragnarok, so now Mirai Saints have the point advantage. And this Reaper is running into a Winston, which is actually 3 shots for Olu. I want to see how Choyobin adapts to the Reaper in his face along with the Symmetra. And they're not really committing yet. Point has been unlocked, so now we have contest. Ghost is still just swinging from a safe distance. Zoro here, setting up the microwave, getting a little bit of charge on that shield. Massive charge actually from that shield. As Immortality Field was actually used there by Ragnarok. So no opportunities to escape now. No Mirai Joe free card, but Basso ends up falling. Wolverine just gets traded. Elu now in the back line has to force him out. But Zoro was getting the picks, gets eliminated, and Mr. J though maybe has a chance to bring this fight back. But Choyobin is far too low. He's gonna get swinged and hammered at. As Mirai Saints take the objective yet again. Notice though that despite the fact that Mirai Saints were very comfortably on point, they did end up losing that heal from Basso, and you saw the little spinneroonie that they started doing on the point. Of course, obviously when you start doing, usually in overtime, but also when your score is down, you might start doing that as well. So now, Ragnarok do have an overclock and are approaching Primal Rage and both support ults. Choyobin going in, trying to destroy the turrets, getting bursted down though. Immortality Field used again. Hard to really trying to save Choyobin, but Wolverine's going down, so does Kuro. And again, Ragnarok is getting absolutely bursted before they can even have a chance to move to point. And Mirai Saints are sitting very, very comfortably. They've got 4 ults with a sound barrier on the way. Just absolutely amazing stuff from Mirai Saints, not letting Ragnarok get anywhere near the objective. Ragnarok have 3 ults. Earth Shatter was used there. 3-member stun as Wolverine went past them. Death Blossom there from Olu. Not really getting much, but it was a good finishing ult. As we see him on the chase, Mr. J in a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to find a way to reset, and that is going to be off the map. And yet again, Mirai Saints comfortably winning these team fights. Only had to use 2 ults. They now have 3 remaining, but Ragnarok have 5. This is the team fight you must win. They're at 90%. Ragnarok has 0. They must turn it back. They have an overclock, photon barrier, sound barrier, and an amplification matrix on the field. Death Blossom being used there by Wolverine. Isn't getting much. There's a shield on his face. Overtime is now out, and Ghost 75 is getting picks. He is just swinging around the point. They do have some ults here to stall on the side of Ragnarok. Choyobin uses the Primal Rage, gets 2. Maybe enough to finish, but he's a little bit overwhelmed. There's a Reaper in his face, as well as a Symmetra. He's just completely surrounded. Choyobin will fall. Mr. J trying to get some hits that he can. Olu is very low. He does end up falling. It's just Usagi, and Usagi's going to run away. So now, Ragnarok finally, after using all 5 of their ults, have managed to flip the point around. A very scrappy fight despite the early advantage, and Mirai Saints, speaking of which, they did have to use a lot of those of their ults as well. They have an amplification matrix and an Earth Shatter coming up. So they do have enough to bring it back. The amplification matrix was used already. Kuro gets caught out in front of the hammer. He's going to go down. Basso does get traded, but Choyobin is down to the Reaper of Elu. And now, Mirai Saints trying to look back to flip the point. It looks like no touch. Absolutely no touch there from Ragnarok. And Mirai Saints are up 1. Wow, quite surprising. Not really sure what happened to Choyobin on the ball in the back, but he did end up falling, so there was no one on point, and Mirai Saints were just allowed to recontest and ultimately flip the point around and win the map. Well, that's going to be the end of map 1. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with map 2. Welcome back everyone to Ragnarok versus Mirai Saints, and we actually have some substitutions on the side of Ragnarok. We see Wolverine now on the support, as well as Kuro now on the DPS position. As we saw in map 1, Ragnarok were looking very sloppy. They were going all over the place. So maybe these substitutions, which we see actually a role swap from them, maybe looking for a better character selection and just looking for a response. Mirai Saints took map 1, they were looking very strong, looking very confident. Overwatch is looking like the better team, as we're actually moving on to Hollywood for our hybrid map. This is actually the very first time we're going to Hollywood at the Overwatch Swim series. Quite surprised to see the Hollywood pick. No one has picked Hollywood as of now. Mostly we've seen Kings Row and Paraíso. And even Paraíso was a rare pick for these teams. So you'll notice that both teams have no record at all on this map. And like I said, no one's really gone to Hollywood, despite it being, in my opinion, one of the more okay maps. Maybe the fact that it's just an okay map is the reason why most don't select it, especially compared to the superior Kings Row. But regardless, now that we are here, we see the team comps being swapped around, maybe a little bit. Ragnarok is on the defense, Mirai Saints on the attack. Mirai Saints looking most essentially just the exact same thing. Sojourn, Symmetra, Reinhardt, Baptiste, Lucio. The defense side for Ragnarok looking like a Sigma and a Sombra, so most definitely trying to find a member of Mirai Saints lacking and catch them off guard. As we see the attack, teleporter looking to be placed somewhere, maybe on the other balcony, and this is actually very smart. Mirai Saints have made a full rotation around, and Wolverine gets caught out first. Ghost is hacked, but he does have a big gigantic hammer, so he'll be fine. And although quite scrappy, Mirai Saints did already have a tick captured. So Elvin now trying to get back on point. He's getting absolutely melted. Does put the shield back out, but he's very low and has no heals. Mr. J also has to transfer kill out. Dolphin touched but fell. As Mr. J just eventually found, and it's just Wolverine on point. And he's gone now too. So Mirai Saints, a very smart strategy, using the teleporter on the balcony to teleport behind Ragnarok and win that fight. That was actually quite fast, as they now have 5 minutes on the payload section of this map. Ragnarok now on the high ground, and Shoyobin on the high ground thinks he's safe, but Mirai Saints are about to pull up on his block, as they do have a little bit of elevator trouble. Everyone has elevator trouble once in a while, but now they are eventually out. Kuro, though, in the back, as you can see, is very far in the backline of Mirai Saints. It's going to become an issue later. Zoro, way ahead of his team in enemy territory. He's going to get caught off guard. Shoyobin using his ult there. Picks up 3, but can they live in the Tally Field used immediately, saving Mirai Saints. Mr. J did fall, though. It's a tank 1v1 going on. Kuro actually does fall. Missed in by Ghost, but it's going to be alright. He's now looking for the high ground, trying to get some picks. Earth Shatter gets used. 3 members fall on the side of Ragnarok. When in doubt, just use the hammer. As Mirai Saints, with only 1 ult, managed to push past Ragnarok. And they're already all the way near the first checkpoint, getting dangerously close to that first checkpoint. I'm actually not sure if anyone can contest on the side of Ragnarok. No, they won't. And they still have 5 minutes. This is looking like a very fast attack round on Hollywood by Mirai Saints. As out of nowhere, Ghost comes in and pins Kuro. As Ragnarok are still on the retreat. Wolverine falls and forcing more of a retreat. This entire round for Ragnarok has been just a walk backwards simulator, as Outlook gets clicked by Mr. J, looking to end the simulator. He does have his ult, as well as the amplification matrix. That could be absolutely devastating when we're talking about a Sojourn. Mirai Saints still have 4 ults. They're looking very comfortable. As you see, Zoro trying to put up the photon barrier, splitting the map in half. Trying to find some beam damage, but he's going to get caught overextending. There was a sound barrier, maybe a little bit late. An Amplification Matrix 2 on both teams. There is a gravitative flux on the side of Ragnarok Shoyoba. Maybe got interrupted, maybe cancelled, I'm not sure, I didn't quite notice. Zoro is very low, he does get taken down. That's now finally Ragnarok with a defensive win. Cleanup of Mirai Saints. Oh, tricky kill there by Mr. J onto Sako in spawn. And so now, Ragnarok finally find their footing. Dolphin did swap to Ana though. No more Baptiste on their side. The Mercy from Wolverine does have the Valkyrie. And they're still putting on to the overclock. For Ghost 75 wants one of it. He's very, very high, and ultimate charge does go down before he can use that Earth Shadow, is what I assume he's trying to do. As Mr. J does find too. So Mirai Saints again forced to retreat, but not even given the chance to fully retreat, as Mr. J gets for that fight. He is definitely ready with that overclock, as Dolphin actually swaps to Kiriko. Ragnarok has both the DPS ults, a visor and overclock, 2 big damage ults. Mirai Saints also have an overclock. They have an Earth Shadow. And there we go, Ghost 75 using the hammer, swinging it down to the ground. 2 go down, both supports actually. Kuro with the... both actually DPS ults being used by Ragnarok. This Kuro has 2 with the visor, Mr. J cleaning up on the other side. But they are not touching the point, 3 meters left. Big charm there by Dolphin, but he is actually going to fall. As now the stall has begun. Ghost actually put the pin on the Wolverine. Usako does fall, but it seems like Mirai Saints still has the numbers advantage. All the stall heroes you can think of, Wall, Tracer, on the point. As Kuro does end up falling. Mr. J goes down too, and no one was on the payload. So Mirai Saints complete Hollywood. Wasn't the speed run that I think they were looking for, but they ultimately did get it. 2 minutes and 27 seconds is still a very, very nice time bank, especially when considering that this is a hybrid map. And maybe Ragnarok has a chance. So it's looking, again, very sloppy on the first point, especially on point A. The first half of the payload section was also looking very worrisome for Ragnarok, but eventually they did find their footing once Mr. J did lock on the Sojourn. Of course, Mirai Saints still looking very, very strong. And now we're swapping sides, so Ragnarok actually looking for a Pharah Echo and a Winston, while Mirai Saints have the Sigma and a Bastion here from Zoro. Not sure if he's actually going to stay on that. And Bastion's on the Mercy. The double flight characters are quite intriguing to me. I'm not really sure what the plan here is. There's not going to be that much damage on the front line, but I'm pretty sure that it might be a flank route that Ragnarok is trying to attempt. As the Mercy Pocket is on Mr. J, he is sitting in those sticky bombs. Mirai Saints are set up on the shot. That was a nice group there from Kuro. As now Mirai Saints are sort of split. Usako has to use that immortality field. Everyone is low. Usako does go down to Mr. J's beam. Wolverine does go down though, and Usako's rezzed just as Alu goes down, and Zoro on the Genji is cleaning up. He's got 2. Shoyoba 6 HP and does end up falling. Zoro on the Genji coming in clutch, and 4 kills now for him. As Ragnarok are back to spawn. Alu did swap to the Soldier. And Mr. J now is on the Genji. The Pharah does remain though from Kuro, like that displacement that they have on the shot. And he 2 HP, falls dangerously low. He's gonna need some heals, as Mr. J now on the offensive, forcing Mirai Saints off this high ground. He does have to be wary of his counterpart, who's also doing some damage. Yusako gets very low as he's in Mentality Field, but Mr. J overextends in that process. Vassal does go down, however. There next comes Ghost. Yusako looking very low. He falls as well. So finally, Ragnarok looks like they have the point for themselves. Zoro trying to escape, but the secondary fire on Choyobin. He does have the aim. And now Ragnarok looking like they're going to capture point A and moving on to the payload section. 4 minutes and 43 seconds for them. Still a very decent time bank. And Ragnarok already on the offensive yet again. And Mentality Field used by Yusako not going to matter. He's going to end up falling. As now Primal Rage gets used by Choyobin. And the cleanup is there. Still quite intriguing to me though. Ragnarok did do a full-on push onto the high ground before Mirai Saints were fully up there. That was some good hindsight from them. And Mirai Saints, yeah, they're gonna have to take the reset there. They do have 5 ults technically, and Ragnarok has 4. The Primal Rage was the only ult used that entire team fight, and they're yet again on the offensive. Dragon Blade being used on Mr. J. He's got Baswell already. He's got the damage boost. He's got 2 on Elu. Looking for more as on Ghost. And he's got 4. Amazing from Mr. J. As Ragnarok yet again pushing this payload, trying to match Mirai Saints on this time bank. It is still possible. It's looking here like no contest, or no, never mind, there is a contest. Zoro does immediately fall, but no one touched there, even though they were fluxed off the payload. And Mirai Saints are cleaning out Ragnarok, but at what cost, as they did let up the checkpoint. As now Mirai Saints have 2 ults. Both DPS ults and Infiltration Matrix. The Ragnarok again off the reset are already looking to come in. The Zoro has the ult, he's popping the blade, he's got the Zenyatta in his sights, he's got him down. Wolverine though trying to fly away, it's not gonna happen, and Zoro's got 3. Another cleanup by Mirai Saints, and this time it is something that's gonna impact the game, as they did only use that 1 ult. And Ragnarok only have the Rocket Barrage and another Primal Rage that they're setting up on. So really well misplacement there. He's forcing the supports. Basso goes dangerously low and does end up falling. One support down as Ghost falls. There was a Rocket Barrage in the background onto Yusako. And Ragnarok are back on the offensive as the payload starts moving. They are still in time to beat this time bank. They are a minute off from Mirai Saints' time bank if they want to secure the advantage. Amplification Matrix used there. Onto Dolphin was the only one on point. He gets absolutely obliterated. Now a Primal Rage being used in that corner. Olu falls down. And Choyobin is just being let loose. Does get rocked, but it will only stop him momentarily. He's setting his sights onto that Baptiste as a soccer fans. And now Ghost is very much alone in the corner. He's gonna fall. As Ragnarok are actually looking to get that time bank advantage, as Elu uses his tactical visor, has to rotate around, but nobody's contesting. Finally a touch as the stalls coming from the right side. So Dragon Blade being used on Mr. J, looking to finish this one out. He finds 2, maybe 3, gets stolen from him, but either way, Ragnarok are going to secure the 3rd checkpoint, and actually they do end up getting that time bank advantage, although only by 6 seconds. But in a game known as Overwatch, 6 seconds can mean the difference between winning and losing. Much better there from Ragnarok. They full-on pushed the assault, constantly pressuring Mirai Saints, whether it be on the high ground, the low ground, or even just catching them in the middle of resetting. They were constantly in Mirai Saints' way, preventing them from getting to any position to contest their progress, and yeah, that was much better. But now on this time bank round, both teams still about the same exact amount of time. And in terms of compositions, pretty sure that we'll still see the exact same from both teams. As Mirai Saints, they will attack first. Looks like they're going to be running the Pharah Genji, as Basso is going to play the Kiriko. Both teams have a Pharah, the Pharmacy, and both teams have a Winston. So maybe Mirai Saints is looking to do the exact same. Maybe they're looking to go full on the offensive and try to catch Ragnarok lacking this time. And oh, Alu finds an elimination onto his counterpart this early. And now you're going to see the pounce there onto the high ground to prevent the res. As Zoro does end up falling though. And the res has been prevented on the side of Ragnarok, but not on the side of Mirai Saints, as Zoro's back in the fight. And now Mirai Saints looking pretty comfortable. Oh, he does end up failing at the rocket jump right there. But it does not matter, as the rest of Ragnarok are going to get cleaned off the point. Basso does go down, however. Maybe I spoke too soon, as Ghost does end up falling very dangerously low, but so is everybody on Ragnarok who's on point right now. Alu respawning, shooting those rockets, as Ghost does end up falling. A minute now for Mirai Saints, and Mr. J with the cleanups. Amazing. I indeed spoke way too soon. That's now Mr. J having his way. 4 right there. What a defense by Ragnarok. They managed to stay in it. They were looking very, very low on point. And they were able to respawn quickly, get back to point, and stop Mirai Saints. No progress there from Mirai Saints, as you saw, not even a tick. As now they are 20 seconds away from the end of the round, as Wolverine ends up falling. It's maybe the opener that they were looking for. Ghost pounces onto Kuro. Mr. J ends up falling, as Kuro is very low. He does end up falling. Basso does get traded there, but it seems like it's going to be a 5-1 or 5-0 now, as Basso does get resurrected. So Mirai Saints now in overtime are going to be capturing point A. The overtime push begins. No one can leave the payload, otherwise the round is over. As Ragnarok do have an ult. But Kuro does end up going down. Hear the resing noises, he's going to get res, but now they don't have it anymore. As Ragnarok are approaching 4 ults. Mirai Saints looking for a push there by Ghost. He has a Primal Rage ready. Mr. J is getting absolutely pressured by Zoro, has to reset all the way back. Zoro does end up falling as Mr. J uses the overclock. Valkyrie gets used by Isako as well as the Primal Rage. Dolphin uses his Coalescence. There's a bunch of ults on the play right now. Dragon Blade used by Zoro there. He's very low. He does end up eliminating a Dolphin, but he gets eliminated by an Orb. That's now Primal Rage by Choyoba. Maybe the tactical weight onto the ult usages, and Mirai Saints do get cleaned off. An insane end to that round, as Ragnarok was just able to stay on point. Lots of the ults there by Mirai Saints were negated, and they just had no more people left on point. They were cleaned up. They did, however, still capture Objective A, so Ragnarok on their attack round need to do that, and just a little bit of the payload, with 6 more seconds in the time bank. It is definitely winnable for either team still, as now we have a bit of another comp mix-up. I'm very concerned about this Roadhog pick here by Ghost. Not really sure what exactly is going on, but Zoro is on the Reaper. On the side of Ragnarok, we do have Kuro on the Widow and Mr. J on the Genji. Kuro switched to the Tracer. So, still very confused about the Roadhog pick by Ghost. But regardless, Ragnarok looking like a full-on dive right now. They're trying to speedrun point A in order to get progress on that payload. They will have to deal with the pharmacy. As Mr. J notices, the Roadhog does not get hooked, but Wolverine does. And Sheldon falls on high ground as Ragnarok do have to go back to the drawing board. We did see Kuro there all the way in enemy lines. It's not Sheldon will swap to the Diva. Dolphin swaps to the Ana. Mr. J does end up falling to the Pharah there. He got caught by a couple of rockets. So the stall is very much real here. 30 seconds were already burned off by Ragnarok. Mr. J swaps to the Soldier. Hit scan for the Pharah. As, whoa, Bastel getting very low. He ends up falling. And Misako is actually very low as well. Mr. J does end up falling, he gets resurrected. Kuro goes down. And now a minute left for Ragnarok. They're very much scattered. Only Elu actually ends up falling there. Mistook there onto Mr. J, and now Ragnarok have a sort of advantage here. Dolphin does end up falling to Zoro, who was in the background with that Reaper. Basso dangerously low does end up falling. Very scrappy fight all around. Ghost on the Hog, missing hooks left and right. He's very low, he's gonna have to take a breather. He can still contest, however. One tick has been given out, but the respawn seemed to be there as there's a Pharah 1v1 going on. Zoro gets resurrected as Olu falls. As we do have the tactical visor in play. Misako got burned. Absolutely. Whole Hog being used by Ghost, but he does end up falling. Basso low. Falls himself. And now Ragnarok do manage to capture objective A, but the same thing for them. The overtime push is real. And there are some ults. Ragnarok do have 4 ults. Rocket Barrage, the Bomb, and both supportals. Mirai Saints, a ball here from Ghost as they have a Valkyrie and both DPS ults. They're big zoning ults too. Nano Boost goes onto the Diva as Ghost there trying to push anyone off the point. There was both DPSers being used. Rocket Barrage though. And everyone is just falling, and in the middle of the chaos, no one was touching point. Unfortunate from Ragnarok, as yet again they are unable to contest the objective. So now, Mirai Saints up 2-0. They are one map closer to getting their first ever win in the Overwatch Scrim Game series. It is a wild series, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. But we are at halftime, so we'll take a break, and I'll see you guys after that. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Ragnarok versus Mirai Saints. Now, there are some more substitutions on the side of Ragnarok, as Nadiel, hope I'm saying that right, is now on the support role instead of Wolverine. Mirai Saints keeping the exact same roster. Now we've seen the craziness of both maps, where Ragnarok were actually looking to get back on their feet in the series after map 1, but they just could not stay on the payload, meaning that Mirai Saints is now up 2-0, as now we are at match point. We're heading to Circuit Royale for our escort map, a map that both of these teams know quite extensively. And Circuit Royale is just not good of a map. Of course, that doesn't mean we're going to be seeing a lot of Sigma on this map. We know the meta. Also, maybe surprisingly, a little bit of Reinhardt, depending on Ghost's mood. And yeah, despite Mirai Saints playing this map pretty frequently, they have never won on this map either, despite the fact that throughout this entire series, they've been winning maps. So you've seen exactly what both these teams are capable of. Ragnarok, of course, they seem to be getting better at finding a way to counteract Mirai Saints. They just need to stick to the objective, as we see here Mirai Saints on their attack, playing some turns. The piano tunes are always a sight to see. And on their attack round, Sojourn Reaper and Ghost is feeling pretty confident on the Reinhardt, as Ragnarok is going to have the Widowmaker. So instantly that Widowmaker is going to put Mirai Saints to a halt. There may need to be a swap. They do make a rotation. Master almost gets eliminated there. Immortality Field already used on the side of Ragnarok. As you can hear, Mr. J and my Widow on the low ground. He does end up finding two. Looking for a third on the shot. There's a shield on his face. Although it doesn't end up going down. Ghost falls as well. Mirai Saints, they're going to have to find a way to counteract this Widowmaker. Widowmaker ends up eliminating Dolphin. Very first thing. He will end up getting resurrected. That is no longer res, and he got res in enemy territory. He does end up falling. Mr. J yet again with another 2 kills. Mr. J is running wild right now on this Widow, although trying to match his same energy as Usako ends up falling to a rock in the face. Ghost ends up falling. As Mirai Saints again on the retreat. Both Widowmakers now approaching their ults. There is a Valkyrie coming out on the side of Ragnarok. And that's about it for old sake. Mr. J on the diff finds Alu.
No one can hide.
Ampersite being used now, forcing Mirai Saints to stay behind this corner. That's a lot of time being wasted right now.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
As the stalemate is going to have to be respected. Mirai Saints taking a small bit of a breather. Now with the Winston though, you saw Ghost going in, very aggressive. There's Zoro on the Genji. Mr. J got very low, but the Immortality Field is there to save him. And now Basto ends up falling. Usako does too. Mr. J again being allowed to run wild. He does end up falling, but Zoro falls and so does Ghost. Alu, the very last one left, finds a kill on the Kuro. But he is very deep in enemy territory. Despite that, he's taking this fight. He eliminates Mr. J. They are even now. And both teams actually need to reset, as Mirai Saints are going to find their way back to the payload first. And the Ampersite is up from them, so Ragnarok have no choice but to respect that. Despite this, Immortality Field used by Dolphin, he's very overextending right now, as Sherwoven did use that Flux, did not find anything with it, however. Valkyrie just get used by Nadiel. That's now a power rage being used by Ghost, trying to disrupt Mr. J, trying to prevent him from doing much on the Widow. As Zoro, meanwhile, with the Dragon Blade finds one, looking for more. Mr. J is low, he finds him. Mirai Saints looking for their push onto this first checkpoint. Zoro finds 3. Looking for 4, gets stolen by Ghost. Regardless, they are finally going to capture the very first objective. 3 minutes on the clock as Elu again finds Mr. J. The Widow Duel is definitely going to be part of this matchup here on Circuit Royale. As Elu, dangerous, of course, to finally get another pick right there. He knows there's a Mercy, he knows there's people walking around, he's trying to find the kill. But there is a Winston in his face, Trioban, trying to prevent the enemy Widow from finding any picks, as Mr. J now with another info sight. Right, since we're gonna have to respect that. The Ghost goes all in, he's trying to eliminate the source. Sound Barrier does get used as Nadio falls, so Ragnarok without his support. Zoro falls, Dolphin does too. Goro and Trioban fall next. A 4-to-1 trade, Mirai Saints are willing to take that as they're making their way to the second checkpoint. No contest from Ragnarok, so now Mirai Saints with 3 in 2 minutes 30. There is a swap, Trioban is on the Diva, Kuro on the Reaper, and Mr. J on the Sojourn, with the Mercy Pocket as well. And the damage boosted Sojourn is very much dangerous. The capabilities of one-shotting are way, way higher. This is a little bit of a trench warfare going on. Nobody wants to get caught by Elu's Widowmaker. He has the emphasize. Ghost is going in, trying to find some support. Amplification Matrix was used as well. Kuro ends up falling through the Matrix. Zoro is indeed piece of talent, Mr. J, but he does have the Mercy Pocket. He's forced to retreat, but Olu's on the other end. Zoro ends up falling in that room. Primal Rage used by Ghost finds Dolphin, trying to disrupt the enemy team, trying to find this Mercy. But Mercy does have the ability to fly, and Mr. J finding 2, both supports. Still with that Mercy Pocket, as Trioban cleans up Elu. Ghost now only 1 on the point. He is going to get eliminated. Mirai Saints got very, very close to getting that objective right there, but they were cleaned off, as now their ultimate game is looking pretty weak. They only have, closest thing is a Death Blossom at 80%. Meanwhile, Ragnarok has 3 ults. As now Mirai Saints looking to push, Ghost going straight for the payload. Trioban forced to drop. Zoro, however, was looking to teleport up to the high ground. Zoro gets caught. Now comes Nadio. Mr. J falls as well. There's a self-destruct being used for the remake. Gets eliminated before he can get back into his mech, and that was everything Ragnarok had. They all got picked off trying to move onto the payload. And Mirai Saints is going to take the 3rd checkpoint, take the mound. And they do have a substantial time bank. For most of that entire first round, there was a Widowmaker duel. Ultimately, Mr. J opted to swap to the Sojourn. So maybe we will see another Widow duel. Perhaps, perhaps not. But in that meantime, we did see a little bit of a tank battle between Trioban and Ghost. The Winston v Winston, the Sigma v Winston, and later the Diva v Winston. All about who could disrupt the most, who could get into the enemy backline more. Ultimately though, it was Ghost winning that battle. As now Ragnarok are on the attack. Looking like very much a dive. Genji Tracer Winston, textbook definition of a dive. And Mirai Saints on the defense. Elu sticking to that Widow. His Widow was doing lots in terms of early picks in order to allow Mirai Saints to never have to leave any space to Ragnarok, and Zoro is actually on the soldier. As you see rolling out with Ragnarok, Mr. J maybe looking to do a little over the roof type comp. Yes, there he is. He's diving straight into Zoro. He gets eliminated. And he's not done there. Zoro looking for more. He's got Usako cornered, but the Guardian Angel is just way too good of an ability. The Shogun's very low. Vaso does end up going down. Ghost is now isolated only with a Mercy Pocket. Rhythm has to use the E. Mr. J does end up falling into Alu, who's in the back line. Oro almost falls there. There is a res being attempted somewhere, but he gets interrupted as Nanio goes down. Mirai Saints are very much displaced, but Choyobin is very low. He does not manage to find his way back to this back line. And Mirai Saints have now respawned. That is actually quite interesting. Mirai Saints managed to respawn, and now simply by having the numbers advantage, they found their way back.
Collapsing the barrier.
Olu back on the high ground is absolutely obliterated by Mr. J. Again with another over the top. Zoro managed to escape with literally 1 HP. There's a res that will not happen as Mr. J is going crazy. He's allowed some free room. He's allowed to breathe in this highly contested area. He is going to make sure Mirai Saints pay for letting him have that space. As him and Choyobin clean up Mirai Saints. And now Ragnarok looking to comfortably obtain this first checkpoint. No one from Mirai Saints is even close. Choyobin pushing up. Him and Mr. J. Elu falls again. And Choyobin is not done. He's got the Primal Rage. He has a way to still continue this offensive. Mr. J pulls out the Dragon Blade. He's looking to get picks. He's got one. Kuro picked off Zoro in the back. As now the Ghost falls. It's just Usako who's going to fall onto the Mercy. And again, Ragnarok pushing this payload. Only one ult needed in order to do that. Just lots of disrupt in a Dragon Blade, as Elu was actually in the back somehow. Did not manage to get eliminated, and well, now is eliminated. He's actually going to swap to Torbjorn. Now that is something that I have not seen. Don't see very frequently. There is a Flux. He goes looking for an area to Flux. He's looking for the payload. He's got that on a missed Sleep Dart. As Dolphin will fall. He's now got a Winston in his face. Dolphin does get resurrected at the cost of Choyobin. Zoro on the front lines. He's got Dolphin in his sights. He's going to eliminate him. And there actually is a Tracer in the backline. Kuro is in the backline currently. But regardless of that, Mirai Saints do have a foothold. They do have some ults. They have a Death Blossom and they have a Katsune Rush. Ragnarok though, they're looking at 4 ults, one being used right now as the Nano Boost goes onto Mr. J, maybe to build up the Nano faster, the Dragon Blade faster, and now he's got it. There is a Katsune Rush though, so he's hesitant to use it as Usako does end up falling, Death Blossom, being used by Zoro. Finds Dolphin, as everyone is low. But it seems like Ragnarok is lower. Dolphin was resurrected in the background though, but he does have a lot of enemies in his face. Adio takes a rock for Dolphin. Dolphin ends up falling. And Mr. J looking to run away with little HP. But he is facing a Sigma right now. And the rest of Mirai Saints are catching up. As Mr. J actually used the Dragon Blade, he's got one, looking for more. I almost found 2 right there for the dash reset. And all of a sudden, Mr. J just turned that fight around. As now Ragnarok are really into defensive. Try to securely get this second checkpoint. And they will get it. 3 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock for Ragnarok. They're looking to finish the map as Shogun goes in. He did get rock stunned and absolutely melted. Ragnarok without their tank. The chip damage is still going. There is a turret in Ragnarok's way. The Zoro teleports up and instantly has to drop. There is a molten core by Olu. Dolphin steps into the lava and ends up falling. There is a Zarya on Shoyobin now. As Mirai Saints actually winning that fight. Valkyrie was used there by Ragnarok instead of Ragnarok. Flux being used by Ghost. And a Coalescence being used by Yusako. Lots of both being used by Mirai Saints. Trying to sustain the team. Elu falls very low, does end up falling. But Shoyobin falls very late to the sound barrier now being used. Shoyobin does get res though, so maybe an advantage. Death Blossom, however, coming in from Zoro, finds his counterpart. And he's looking for more. Ragnarok are very, very much low. They're trying to fall back, but they're very much cornered. Dolphin very aggressive there. But they are going to find the reset. And Elu is on the Sojourn. As Nadeo does get staggered. An unfortunate pick right there. And now 1 minute and 30 basically left for Ragnarok. They do have a Dragon Blade and a Grab. Grab being used as well as the Dragon Blade. So they're looking for some takes. There was a Charm being used on the side. He does get fluxed. And he's going to get absolutely obliterated as well as Dolphin. Kuro as well goes down. And yet again, Mirai Saints with a teamfight win. As Mr. J now is forced to swap over to the Sojourn, trying to mirror Elu with that headshot potential. Valkyrie being used. Sako is down. It's looking like a 25 win. There is a Katsune rush though from Basso. As Elu is getting very low. Mr. J finding the picks. The Zoro's responding every single time. Mr. J still, he has that Mercy Pocket. He has some tools to work with. He's going to have to find some pace. He does find one onto Basso. So now Zoro is getting very low. One support down. There is a Graviton Surge and Kuro's looking for the Death Blossom, but gets headshot by Elu. And Elu with 4. What a play there from Elu, saving the game. And now it's only Nadeo who falls. Does trigger the overtime. And just like that, Mirai Saints finally find their first win in the Overwatch Scrim Game series. What a play by Elu. Absolutely engaging, locking in on that overclock, managing to counteract the Death Blossom, finding 3 more. Just absolute negation, as you can see. Absolutely perfectly played there from Mirai Saints. Constantly negating ults, constantly finding a way to just stop Ragnarok there on the point. Something about that point, that last checkpoint on Casino, which allows the defense to just get a grip on the payload, and that's exactly what you saw. The payload never moved past that halfway point onto that bridge. It just never did. Mirai Saints were just constantly stopping Ragnarok in their tracks. And now, Mirai Saints with their first win. As you can see the victory screen, the yellow and gold victory screen for the first time. And you know what that means? For the first time, they also get a player of the match, and it's going to be Zoro. Zoro was always there. There's also that heavy contention for Elu there at the second half of that game with the Widow and the Sojourn. But Zoro, throughout the match of this Genji, was always constantly in a fight with Mr. J. Whether it was on the Genji, whether it was on the Symmetra, he was always there. And what a series, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, for the first time, Mirai Saints have their first victory. Ragnarok now falling 1-3. So now both these teams have the same record, Now, things get interesting. Because Mirai Saints, all they've been looking for is a victory. And now that they have it, it might just be redemption time. We're going to have to see how this plays out. We know that Mirai Saints heading into this tournament were the number 2 seed, ranked for the entire tournament. And ever since then, they have had not the greatest of luck. But they're looking to finally turn the season around on White Shadow. And what a series. Hopefully we'll see more from both of these teams in the tournament as a whole as we head the first half, the end of it. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys later.